Hello, everybody. Welcome to the A Space. We will be discussing the book Summerbird Blue by Akemi Dawn Bowman. My name is Nene, and I am joined with Elise from The Petite Punk and Kasey from Kasey Can Read. So let's start with our ratings, shall we? Elise, do you want to start?
Yeah, so I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really love the book. I've just been trying to feel it a bit more critical with my ratings, but I really loved it. That was like a high rating for me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I also gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. Like I was saying before the live show, when I first started reading it, I thought it was like kind of average. But I think as we got kind of towards closer to the halfway point, closer to the end, that's when the story kind of changed for me and it started hitting a lot more. So it was like an easy 4 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I gave it a 3.5 stars. I was kind of in a book slump and I couldn't really concentrate on the book. So I think that kind of didn't help much with how much I enjoyed the book, which I kind of am disappointed in. And I'm more of a plot kind of person rather than characters. And I feel like this was, it wasn't like it's a bad thing that it lacked plot, but it's just like not for me. So yeah. But a 3.5 is good, I think. Yeah. It's not like too bad. Okay, so I've got a list for questions. Oh wait, let's see in the chat. Hello, PJ. Hi, Julia. Hi, Sammy. Hi, Helen. Yes, Kasey, I'm the same. The beginning felt very 3 stars, but I loved it so much as the character developed. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, in the beginning, I felt like more of a 2 stars because I felt like it was kind of boring. But the characters really were good at the end. So what did we think about the Ace rep?
I thought it was actually pretty good because sometimes when I read Ace books, it's more implied or it's like a really subtle part of the plot or the characters. And I really liked that the term asexual was used on page and that it was discussed. It was, thoughts in the character's head, but it was also something she discussed with other people and was actually trying to figure out. Yes. So I thought it was pretty well done. And I appreciated the fact that that representation was directly addressed.
Yeah, I definitely feel like this book is more of a young adult book and for younger audiences. So I really like that it had a 17-year-old who was discovering her sexuality and like having all of these questions, and then also coming to terms with like you don't have to find one label that's going to fit you for the rest of your life. And it's like more fluid than that. So I really liked the representation of that because like I really haven't read too many books with Ace rep, but I really like that there are books for younger audiences and younger people where we have characters who are going through that and like struggling with other things at the same time. So I appreciated it.
Yeah, I really liked the Ace rep as well. She didn't really come to a conclusion because at the ending she was still thinking that she the aromantic and the ace and the asexual label didn't fit her well, even though that did sound like what she was feeling, including like that explains the attraction part and not why am I not into kissing or why don't I want a romantic relationship, which there are asexual and aromantic people who do like kissing and who do want a romantic relationship. So I feel like her not being completely settled with that label is very valid. Maurice says, I haven't read the book.
Hi.
Hi. Yes, there will be spoilers. I'm not good at keeping them separate. And I didn't have a problem with the beginning. I've been through a lot of grief, including the past few months, and it was struggled to get into the book for that reason. Yes, Elise told me that it was like you had to have a lot of time to read the book because of the grief. Yeah, it was very grief heavy.
Mm-hmm. And like just going along with that, I mean, it was hard with the like content, but also the character herself. What was her name? Rumi. You know, the way she was processing things, she was so angry and almost unlikable at the beginning. I mean, you know, a very valid, response to that. But like, I saw myself in that, and the fact that she was unlikable at the beginning because of a response to anger, I feel like that was that hit close to home because I feel like that's often my response too, to just, you know, take everything out on the whole world when things go wrong. And when you read about that in another person, like you can see, wow, this is really unpleasant for everyone else. And I just saw that in myself. So yeah, personal anecdote. But yeah, took me a while to get through that, not because it was bad, but just because it was a lot.
Yeah. I did think that she was still unlikable at the ending, but you understood why she was, and especially her mom's explanation on, was it her aunt or her mom that said anger is easier than grief because it comes in daggers rather than that wave, and it's slow and it's long and stuff. Yeah, and in the beginning I still felt like I understand why she's angry, but you did have to kind of get used to it, in my opinion.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of like Courtney Summers or like a Nina LaCour kind of character where the main character is kind of shaped by what's going on around her, and because of that, as like a way to protect herself, she like shields herself off from the world and becomes like very guarded and kind of hard to get, well, not kind of, like very hard to get along with, but it's really just a response to like what they're going through. So like when I was reading this book, I thought of like Courtney Summers books and like those kind of characters, but those, it was like a different kind of grief that they had to deal with.
Kara says, I agree, it took me a long time to read it because I've been grappling with my own grief. Yeah, I understand that. And Anya, really sweet, comes to the life with the book stays where Elise is present.
Thanks for coming.
So then we, oh no, I don't have, okay, here. What did we think about Rumi's relationship with Leah? Because I really liked that we learned about Leah via the memories. I really like that. But I also feel like it's complicated because she loves her sister so much, but then also has this envy. It feels like she's her protector and stuff, but also wants to be protected. So it was kind of not really hate, but kind of a love-hate relationship, but only on her part. Which I felt was a really big thing to write about.
No, I thought their relationship was so interesting. I have siblings, but we definitely don't have that like jealous competing aspect because we're, you know, different ages enough that it doesn't matter. But I just thought it was really interesting to see how she processed this like really deep love for her sister. And this isn't really a spoiler, but towards the end of the book, she basically says that this is like my love, my best friend, you know, because she was really close to her sister. But also there's just hatred towards her and jealousy, but it's just like a misplaced kind of emotion because she wants to be loved. It's not that she hates her sister, but yeah, I just thought that was really complex emotions, and it was articulated really well in that muddled kind of confused way. Kind of an oxymoron there, but yeah.
I think with her sister, is just like her grief, she rather feel angry than hurt, and I think that she'd rather be angry at Leah rather than hurt about her dad leaving and her mom needing to have 2 jobs and not being able to take care of them both.
Mm-hmm.
So she misdirects it so that she won't feel like the hurt as much. She'd rather feel the anger.
Yeah.
I don't know if she does it on purpose, but that's how she deals with it.
I also think that, like, I'm the youngest. I have 2 older brothers, and I really enjoy reading books about older siblings because you can totally see, like, how older siblings take on the role to protect their younger siblings. And when Rumi would say lines like, I failed to protect her or to keep her safe, like, that would hurt my heart so much because, like, that's not what happened. Like, she didn't cause, like, Rumi could not have done anything to save her sister. And it's just, I thought it was a really interesting exploration of being an older sibling for someone who's the youngest, because I have never, like, had that perspective where I feel like I need to protect and take care of my older brothers because they always did that for me. And seeing a character who went through something where their younger sibling died, that was really hard to read. Mostly because, like, Rumi thought it was, like, something that she failed at. But I thought it was also really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree because I am the older sibling. And, Rumi so many times kept saying, like, I wish it was me, or, you, like, as in her mother, wish it would have wished it was me that died instead. And, like, I kind of feel like if I was in that place, I would be saying things like that too. And I'm like, Rumi was told multiple times, like, don't say that. That's not the case. But, like, I feel like that's a very hard thought to shake, even if deep in your heart, like, it shouldn't have been anyone, but still, like, just that protectiveness, that willingness to sacrifice yourself for someone you love, it's just a very hard thing to process.
Yeah.
I think that when we found out that her mother also has this
Careful, you might be
feeling of
getting into
guilt.
spoiler. Oh, I thought you were about to say a spoiler. Okay.
We're this is a spoiler chat.
Oh, okay, we're spoilery now. Sorry.
I'm not gonna divide them up. Last time
sorry.
that didn't work. No, this is spoiler. Yeah, filled. But when her mother, because they didn't really communicate throughout the book, and then at the end, her mother also felt like she chose a daughter.
Yeah.
And they kind of have are going through similar things, and I think that so much things would have been better if they just communicated better.
Yeah. I think it also combines with, like, Rumi's own insecurities about herself, because a lot of, like, the anger that she felt towards Aaliyah were just, like, her own insecurities of, like, her being jealous at how easy things came to Leah when she struggled with other things, and also with her relationship, or Leah's relationship, with her mom. So I feel like that definitely played a big influence in how she communicated, and also, like, what we were just talking about too.
Mm-hmm. What did you think about the relationship between Rumi and her mom?
It's kind of one of those things where I don't know if there's, like, a right way to handle, or, like, the best way to handle it. Like, I think it would have been better if Rumi's mom told her, like, I'm going to send you to Hawaii to be with your aunt so I can go to, like, a hospital and take care of myself and, like, grieve and cope, like, in a safe space. Because, like, if without communicating, Rumi, like, kind of internalized that and thought it was, like, her mom just didn't want, like, her mom was upset that she was alive. So, like, that definitely could have been avoided. But, like, at the same time, like, I'm not in a position to, like, judge the mom and, like, correct her on her grieving process. So it's, like, it's just messy, and there's, like, not, like, a step-by-step way of how to go through it better. But I like that they reconciled by the end of the book, and they, like, made this promise to each other to, like, try and be better.
Yeah. I've already said this multiple times, but I really related to Rumi. So I kind of saw her mom's reaction in the same way that Rumi did, in the way that, like, her mom abandoned her. Like,
Yeah.
both of them were grieving, and her mom did this terrible thing, sending her away for no good reason but to be selfish. And I'm sure if you were a more careful reader, or I don't know, a more not empathetic, but a more like observant person, you'd probably pick up on the fact that there was something more to it than just her mom picked Aaliyah as the favorite daughter and you know, something like that. But like at the time, as I was reading it, I was thinking of it in the same way. Like, this was so rude. I hate the mom. She's my least favorite character. And towards the end, you really understand maybe her intentions. I would not say they were 100% justified, but you understand her mom and her mindset. But I just thought that was probably the most infuriating relationship, but also the most complex because there was just a lot of feelings. And there was a quote. What's his name? The older man, Mr. Watanabe. Yeah. There was a quote with him where he said, like, basically put things in perspective. You know, you might have lost your sister and you might feel like you've lost your mom, but your mom lost a child. Imagine how that feels. And that I don't know how it got so much more sadder all the way towards the end. But yeah, I just that relationship was definitely I think the most complex one in the book.
Oh yeah, definitely. They helped each other with grief and I think that the aunt told Rumi this, that she also helped him with his grief. And I thought it was such a complicated but beautiful relationship. And also just like, I love that they met with like, oh, he's the most annoying person.
I love like the angry, grumpy man rep there. Like, he's actually a softie on the inside.
Yeah.
Yes. Mr. Watanabe was one of my favorite characters.
Yeah, when he went to the hospital and like we didn't know what was going to happen to him, like that was the part in the book where things like kind of turned, and I was like, no, like no more people dying. Like, I'm not letting this happen.
And I don't know who said this, either you who of you said this, but I think Kasey said that everybody kind of was grieving. What did you mean with that?
Well, so obviously like Mr. Watanabe was grieving his wife and his son, and I thought like you could definitely interpret like Kai's situation where he's kind of grieving like the loss of his relationship with his dad, or like a non-existent relationship with his dad, or like a really tough relationship, but he's also in a position where he like kind of is being forced to go into the military, so like he can also be grieving his youth and his lack of options, and like I think it just shows the complexity of grief and how like it doesn't necessarily have to be a result of loss. Well, like a loss of a person, it can be a loss of something else, and it like manifests differently because like Kai is someone who like probably had a couple different things to be grieving throughout his entire life, and he just had a completely different attitude, whereas Rumi like lost someone and almost immediately afterwards she was just like in a really not a good spot. But like Mr. Watanabe had lost someone, and like years after that he was kind of also cold-hearted, a little rough around the edges, but like they all helped each other through whatever they were grieving.
I did feel like the aunt,
yeah,
I don't know how to pronounce it. The aunt, we didn't really see her grieving that much.
Yeah,
I would actually like to say maybe not grieving in the way that other people were, but I think she was just better at being patient and not expressing it, because think about the ways that like Rumi really took things out on her, and all of a sudden the aunt has a child, like a responsibility to take care of a child that is not hers, and I feel like there was not enough appreciation for her in the book, because I mean she took on a lot. I mean, first of all, she's caring for someone that's not hers, but then she had to deal with the rather aggressive way that Rumi treated her, and having to hold in like the secret that Rumi's mom didn't just abandon her. So she had to do like, you know, two sides kind of thing. But I'm sure in her own way that had to be some kind of grief because that was also a lot for her.
Yeah, and she also talks about like not having a great relationship with Rumi's mom. So there could definitely be like, although both sisters are alive, like they could be grieving like the loss of a faded relationship between them that like has to kind of be like revitalized due to the death of her sister's daughter, which is like a horrible way to spark a relationship with someone.
Yeah.
But I did wish, and I might have just zoned out if this did happen, but I did wish that we would have kind of seen her, going through that, because it's kind of like subtext, or it happens, but you don't really know how she feels about it, if that makes sense. And some people are in the comments like when Mr. Watanabe was in the hospital, they started just sobbing and getting angry. I was really scared when that happened.
I was like, Rumi cannot have any more hurt or like pain in her life, please.
Yeah. So we talked about Kai a little bit. He was definitely one of my favorite characters. And I think he would agree. Especially Kasey.
Oh, the little baby.
Yes. I really liked how he talked to Rumi, because Rumi was just this angry ball. Yes. And he was just like, no bullshit, no baby talk, no sugarcoating, which I think was really necessary for Rumi, that she just had somebody to talk to that wouldn't like cuddle her and just wouldn't sugarcoat things.
I thought it's like so, I don't know, maybe inappropriate, but the amount of like dead sister jokes I would actually be like, oh my god, like this is like, it was so funny. And I love how I definitely cope with like stress or grief or anything with a sense of humor and like making darker jokes like that, quote unquote. And I loved how they did that. And it was actually like Kai being like, don't pull a dead sister card on me. And Ruby was like, what? I just thought that was like a really nice way to like kind of add some humor to like a really serious and darker book. So I loved that. And I love how Kai as a character brought that.
Yeah.
I also loved how forgiving he was, because Rumi was not the nicest person to him. And there were definitely quite a few instances where she got him in trouble or like directly hurt him. And of course, there is a line when you're just basically abusing your friends, treating them like garbage. But he kept giving her chances because he understood that there was something going on and that this wasn't just her personality. She was going through something. And I feel like maybe a lot of people probably wouldn't give her that many chances, especially for someone that they don't really know, because Rumi was the outsider there. She was not familiar with anyone there. So I thought that was really sweet of him. I need a Kai in my life.
I also really liked that when Rumi told him that she wasn't interested in him, he was like, of course I'm going to be there for you because I like you so much that I want to be your friend. When I've seen so many instances that guys like a girl, and if she's not interested, they don't even want to be friends with her. Like, I thought you liked them, Like, he sees her as a person rather than just a romantic
conquest.
Yeah, conquest. But Kasey was upsetty that, I don't know why I said upsetty. I say upsetty spaghetti too much. Kasey was upset, I think, that Rumi wasn't Demi because Kai was too sweet.
I thought they were so sweet together, and like the way that so obviously like in the book she was like trying to figure out her sexuality and where she fell on the ace spectrum. And I thought like maybe the book was going to go in a direction where she realized that she was Demi. So I was like, okay, I'm here for this. I'm really here for this. I want to see both of them happy together. And then the book didn't go that way. And like, I mean, I'm fine with either way because like Kai is such a sweetheart and cupcake boy that like he's, you know, still with Rumi even if they're not like romantically together. But I did want to see him happy with a girlfriend and have that girlfriend be Rumi, but instead they're just best friends who don't, you know, cuddle.
Yeah.
So they definitely played with my emotions, but I was there for the ride.
Julia says, when Rumi wrote her song for Kai, I lost my mind. It was the best thing in the world, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't realize it was about him. I don't think.
I was like, you're in love with him.
I know.
But I also love that. How it can show how like ace people can have like really meaningful relationships that like in such an allosexual world, like we always interpret it or as like label it as like a romantic relationship, but like not all relationships that are that meaningful and deep are like a product of like a sexual or intimate like romantic relationship. Like it can just be friendship and that can be like the main thing in your life. So I really love that too.
Yeah, and also wait, I just lost my train of thought. You speak.
Well,
I don't know what I wanted to say. Wait. Oh no, I've lost my brain. Anyways,
okay.
Julia says, "Me too, Kasey." I was like, "Okay, you can be ace and still date Kai." Yeah, totally. Yeah, but I think she's aromantic as well. At least
she brought it up, but again,
yeah,
like, it wasn't a conclusive thing.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, intimacy is not necessarily romantic or sexual. Yeah. And I like that she thought Kai was beautiful and, you know, she was kind of attracted to him, but in an aesthetically way. And it was like, yes, I have a lot of aesthetic attraction. Like, and it's so different than sexuality. And a lot of people don't realize that it's different. So I really like that was portrayed in the book. That's what I wanted to say earlier.
Yeah.
Wait, I have these bullet points, like what I wanted to talk about, and one just says Kai. Like that's enough. What did you think about the role that music played in this book?
I thought it was really cool. That sounds I'm really articulate here.
Yeah.
No, but I really love music, and I feel like that's something I've used to cope with things. So that disconnect at first where she couldn't write music, and in a way she was almost kind of avoiding it with not wanting to touch her sister's instrument or whatever. And then eventually finding her way back to that. I thought that was really well done. I liked that theme. Yeah, that was not my most profound comment, but I thought it was a nice touch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I loved how at the end, like another part that like made me want to just curl up in a ball and sob for like the rest of my life was like how she was like, Leah is the music that I'm going to be playing for the rest of my life or something along those lines. It was like, oh, like you poor baby. Like I loved how music and her pain like connected so well, or like they were just completely one. So when she was able to like work through the pain and continue to function and be functional, I guess, that's when she was able to like go back to music, and that was something that helped her to continue grieving, to kind of move forward with the process, and not just like be stunted for like as long as she was.
Yeah, I really liked, especially because we did see the memories of Leah. We knew how much music had to do with Leah, especially when she said that she wanted an audience because she wanted to share it. And this person she shared music the most with was Leah. So like, that's difficult to share with anybody else. And especially when you're doing it on your own, then it's like you might feel selfish. I don't know if she felt selfish,
I think
but
she
it's
felt a lot.
just this
Felt
totally
everything.
different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other connection with music that I really loved, it was a little more subtle, was when Rumi started playing the instruments in Mr. Watanabe's house that belonged to his wife, and just like that connection of two people healing through music while keeping their loved ones in mind. I just thought that was like a really subtle but beautiful touch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Megan says that when she quit avoiding all emotion, my brain doesn't work. Wait, Megan says yes, music as a coping tool when she quit avoiding all emotion.
I think like she means when like at the beginning she was avoiding music but also trying to like avoid processing.
Yes. And the book was beautifully written, with like some sentences were so pretty, especially the ending, and the kind of breakup monologue with Kai was also beautifully done. And there was one sentence that I wanted to share. It's my no, I'm kidding.
Little self-promo.
No. I want my sister back, and if the only way to find her is to swim out into the ocean where the ocean is empty and the clouds take over the sky, then I'll stay here in the water. I'll become a wave or a cloud or a bird if that means I can have my sister back.
Oh, yeah, that was such a good one.
Oh, I want to cry right now. Oh my God.
And throughout the book, you have these themes of, the title, Summer Bird Blue.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it takes place in summer, but when you think of summer and birds, you think of the ocean, or at least I do. And so, because it was, a lot of metaphors with waves and such, I thought that was very beautiful. And Kai's name means ocean and recovery. So I think that
really?
was on purpose.
Look at that.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes.
I love that. On a slightly funnier note, I did like dog ear this one page when Rumi starts playing music again, and she ends up playing "Liability" by Lorde. And I was like, I just dog eared the page and I was like, this bitch is really going through it. Like, it's not a good thing.
I missed that.
Someone's sad when they pull out "Liability."
Yeah,
oh my God, I know.
You go near melodrama, red flag.
I know. I'm just going through the comments, reading some. Music seemed to make her feel things she wasn't ready to feel at first as she went through the grieving process. Yeah, I agree, especially because that reminds her so much of Leah.
Mm-hmm.
And later it helped her move through it. Yeah, and I think that Mr. Watanabe was a big part of it, of trusting music again.
Just on a little side note, Mr. Watanabe and Rumi, that kind of relationship of like a teenager and like an old man. Wow, that sounds creepy.
No, but no,
you know what I mean? Like an unlikely friendship like that. Those are my favorite types because I just feel like when you think of friendships, you think of people who are close to you that are your same, that are the same age as you. There we go. They're the same age as you and have like the same like experiences and interests as you. And I just really love relationships that are a bit more unconventional because it just shows that like people are people. You can relate to anyone. You can find connection in all sorts of people. It doesn't have to be what everyone is expecting you to be. And just the fact that they were both pretty resistant to each other at first. I just loved that character growth. I loved the fact that like Mr. Watanabe would cook for her and, you know, let her play his wife's instruments, and just, it was my favorite. Next to Kai.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
There was just, I loved the found family in this book.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful.
I feel like the sense of community, because she didn't really have friends, or her friends weren't really close to her when she was. Wait, where did she live?
Like Washington, I think.
Yeah, yeah, it was Washington.
You know, in a very, very big city with barely any friends, and the closest person to her gone. I think that the community, with how close Kai and his friends are, and then the rest of the community too, was really beautiful to see that she kind of, like, you can still have new connections and stuff, even though they had to say goodbye at the end.
Oh my god, that hurt.
Oh.
Yeah. It was beautifully done that she said that it was always about goodbyes. I'm sorry, Kasey, I don't mean to make you cry.
This book.
And I really like that Kai's friends were so friendly towards Rumi, like at the beginning, and they didn't really have these weird social boundaries, you know. They were just like, yeah, you belong with us now. And also that, I don't remember who, but somebody said that he thought that she might like girls, and then when Rumi said that she might not be interested in anybody, she was like, yeah, people have identified like that. And I was like, yes. Like, it's so validating when a stranger says that, you know, because it's scary enough coming out with that, because so many people don't know that it exists. Are we surprised Kai's friends are the best kind of people? No. No, I don't think Kai would befriend anybody who isn't nice. That was such a great friendship. Kai and maybe his friends seemed weirded out by her hanging out with Mr. Watanabe. Did they?
I think there's one part where they were like surprised that she was able to like have a friendship with him, because he's just like that grumpy guy who lives up the street or something. They're like, why would you do that? And she was like, what do you mean?
Yeah. I missed that, but okay. They just adopted her when she wanted it or not. Yeah. I really like it in book when there are like forced friendships, but not like it turns out okay, you know, like in a good way. Yeah. Was there anything that you wanted to talk about? I'm out of bullet points.
Okay. Also, I'm sorry if I keep rapidly blinking. It's allergy season. I'm trying not to sneeze on camera. I have a random quote I bookmarked if you'd like me to read it. Well, I have 3, but
Amanda, both of you have the paperback because it just looks so nice.
I think I won it in a giveaway, and it was for like an ACE thing, and I don't know if it was for this. Maybe not.
Oh,
I have no idea.
Oh, you're in charge of this. I
do so many giveaways. I have no idea.
An ACE thing. I don't remember what.
Like,
but there was like one quote.
Does it have a soft cover?
No, not really.
Oh, okay.
It's the kind of book where like it's kind of hard, and then you open it, and then like the spine cracks all the way down.
I like that. I love breaking the spines.
No, I hate that experience. Also, I listened to the audiobook for the first like 50%, so it's only like halfway bent. Hold on. I lost the quote. Oh, it was this one on grief. Grief is a monster. Not everyone gets out alive, and those who do might only survive in pieces. But it's a monster that can be conquered with time, and your mom just needed some time. I don't know why, like the whole book was about grief, but like that one last scene where the aunt was explaining to Rumi why her mom left. I don't know why that got to me so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys read any other books by Akemi Dawn Bowman?
No.
Because I'm like, the stakes are so high now. I just feel like all of her books are gonna have such like beautiful language in it.
Yeah.
I think either it's gonna come out or it just came out. I'm just gonna look up real quick.
Oh, is it the Infinity Quartz?
Yeah, I'm really interested in that. And I think I'm not sure if it has Ace Rep.
I don't know. I know my friend Darian just read it. I think she had an arc of it.
Is it by the same author or is it a different book?
Yeah, it's like her fantasy debut, I think.
Oh,
Yeah.
I missed that.
It's such a beautiful cover.
Yes.
It's a really awesome cover. Sorry, my train of thoughts just keeps slipping away from me.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't think that you won this in my giveaway, though I think I did do a giveaway from this. But I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I can't remember what it was for. It was for a while ago because I was supposed to read it a while ago, and you know how that goes when you plan to read a book.
Yeah. I cracked it while reading, and I was reading it. I cracked it twice, and I hate
mine
it.
looks like that too.
Yeah, it's not floppy whatsoever. So
yeah,
it's like the spine is really harsh. Yeah,
gorgeous cover though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know.
I don't know if anyone saw my Instagram post, but I literally went out to like the lake around here just so I could get a picture with water because there's pretty waves on here.
Yeah.
I did see it.
Sorry.
It's okay. You can go.
I was gonna ask if you guys thought that like the Hawaiian setting played a part, and like if you did, what part do you think it played in the story?
Ooh, that's a good question. I
think they talked about culture.
Yeah.
And with her, her mother moved away, and she might have not really grown up with that culture, but I'm not sure. I think that her mother doesn't have an accent anymore. That doesn't mean like anything, but it might be, that she doesn't really grow up with that culture, but I'm not sure. And then her moving kind of where her family comes from. I don't know if it helped with her grief or something, but I did think that it was really beautiful in the story that she kind of, I don't know, my thoughts are just, but I don't know a lot about Hawaii, and so I didn't even know that they have an accent. So, or was it? I'm not sure, but it was written differently.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's what it sounded like in the audiobook. Yeah, honestly, I don't know much about that culture either. I feel like the main contribution there was that like it was one, like geographically an area that was away from our home, but also just like a different culture, and being in a different environment was almost a way for her to cope with things because it was different. And like that one scene where she wants to go and try to surf, she does it because she wants something that is unconnected to Leah, like something that's 100% different. Although I did think that was interesting because the song title Summer We're Blue, like when I think of summer, I think of like beaches and water. So I feel like that was interesting that she thought that was like disconnected from Leah. But yeah.
Here's another quote. My memories no longer feel like nostalgia. They're either dreams or nightmares.
Oof.
Wow. That's a beautiful quote.
Yeah.
And really deep. But Kasey, what did you think about the Hawaiian setting?
I thought it was really interesting because I also like don't know too much about like Hawaiian culture, and recently I've just kind of been learning a lot about like American imperialism, and like Hawaii is definitely like an example of like the American government just like taking land and calling it their own. So I was interested in like the different cultures there and how it's like it's so different than like being like on the mainland. And I really liked how all like you kind of got that feeling like just through how they spoke to each other, like the language, and also the scenery. I think it like kind of had its own role, like maybe its own character, because like you guys said, it is an instance where Leah has never been to Hawaii, had never been to Hawaii, and will never get to go to Hawaii, which is really sad. And it's kind of something where it was just like all new to Rumi, but in a way, she's kind of forced to reconnect with this part of her culture, part of her family's culture, at the worst time in her life.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
I didn't think about that. It must be hard to kind of reconnect with her culture, or I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but without her sister.
Yeah. Sorry.
Her sister might have never been able to experience that. I don't know. I'm white, so I don't know if I have the best viewpoint for this. But I am curious to. I kind of want to read interviews by Akemi Dawn Bowman about this book because I am curious.
Yeah.
I haven't read a lot of books by Native Americans, and so I kind of want to.
Wait, is she Native?
For that. Well, I don't know, because Hawaii is Native, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if Akemi, if it's own voices. But that's why I want to look through interviews, because I do want to take this as a learning opportunity.
We can check. The Asian Readathon has like a story graph of like all different Asian authors.
It was on there.
Yeah.
For Asian authors. Oh, wait, I already forgot what it was.
But I don't know if she's Hawaiian.
Like a Pacific Islander, own voices, or like a different country. Yeah,
I don't remember.
The main character was white, Hawaiian, and Japanese.
I think so. I missed that. I'm always bad with the little tiny details like that.
Okay.
I did like
that's why I wanted to read interviews for if it is own voices, then I want to like learn from this. If that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
I thought it was also interesting from like a historical and like imperialistic point of view that like everyone that she, like all the friends that she came into contact with, when they were talking about their different identities, all of them were like partially white. They all had like, they were all multiracial.
Oh, like the use of the term hapa was thrown around a lot. And I don't know if you guys know anything about that, but it's basically, it's a term that originated in Hawaii, and it means, it's like a term to refer to biracial people. It's usually used for half white, half Asian. And I'm pretty sure it has kind of derogatory roots. Don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it was like negative at first, and then people reclaimed it. So that's why in the book there's a conversation about that word hapa and how, you know, some people like it, some people don't, and it's for that reason. It's kind of like a reclaiming a word type thing, I'm pretty sure. Okay. And I used to get called hapa in grade school a lot because I'm half white, half Filipino, and I just thought that seeing that word was pretty cool because that's an identity that sometimes has connotations.
Yeah.
But seeing the half white, half Asian thing was cool, and I liked seeing that word on page.
Yeah,
I didn't know about that word.
Yeah, I didn't know it either, and like Kai only uses it as like a term of endearment.
Yeah. Because again, it's kind of a reclaimed thing, so there's mixed feelings.
Yeah.
Because was Kai mixed too, or I have no idea.
I don't
remember. Do you have anything you want to talk about, Elise?
Let's see. I sent you my bullet points. We talked about my things.
I tried to add them.
Good stuff, though. Let me think. Let me see if I have anything else bookmarked. My
Well,
main.
sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, there's a quote that I really liked. That is, "I'm starting to need her. Knowing I can reach her with music leaves me with a hunger, an ache. I wonder if it's possible to keep a ghost with you forever. Maybe I don't have to say goodbye. Maybe I don't have to be alone." And this is like at the end of the book when Rumi's like realizing that like, oh my god.
Oh.
Every quote is just sad.
Yeah. Oh, it really is. Oh my god. But I liked that because it shows that like grief, like there's no start and end point to grief and grieving. And in like a romance I recently read, like it's the X Talk. Like the main character had lost her dad when she was like 12 years old, and she was like going on 30, and she like talked a lot about how like every day she still misses her dad, and it's not something that you just like get over. You just kind of live with it, and it just grows with you. So I really liked that. And I really liked how, like I said before, like her grief just really intersected with music. And once she was able to like play instruments again and write lyrics again, that's when she was able to move forward with her music. It was just beautiful.
Yeah, no, I'm actually glad you brought that up with grief not necessarily ending, because I like towards the end that there was an idea explored where emotions is definitely a process, and they come and go naturally, but it also does get to a point where you can make decisions about your emotions and how you deal with them. I had two quotes. One of them was, "Some people like being alone, but no one likes being lonely, even if they pretend to." And the other one was, give me a second. Give me a second again. Okay, and the other one was, "It's okay to be mad, but it's also okay for you to stop being mad too." And I just really liked those because, especially for something very immediate like a car crash, where you're not predicting that to happen. You know, there's sometimes in life where you know that someone you love will probably die soon, but this was very immediate, very unexpected. And of course, those initial emotions were strong and confusing and hard to process. But you know, we see Rumi being upset the whole book, which is 100% valid and makes sense. And I think a lot of people would be very angry. But towards the end, she realizes that you have some decisions when it comes to processing emotions. You don't have to stay angry your whole life, even if that anger will be a part of you for your whole life, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that she kind of allows the grief to be like to feel the sadness instead of the anger.
And I think
no, you go first.
I was gonna say that I think that Mr. Watanabe like really mirrors that for her, because he's someone who's obviously dealt with grief, and she gets to know that more about him as she gets deeper into their friendship. And he's like an example of someone who has lost a lot and a lot of important people. Sorry, I keep getting texts. I'm just so popular, I guess. Okay. But he's like an example of someone who's lost important people in his life, but like he's not like held down or centered by his anger or bitterness about it. He just like kind of accepted it, or at least at that point in his life, he accepted it and was like moving forward with it. But they both helped each other grieve. But I thought it was really good that she had that person to look up to who like had survived their grief and had like continued to live long after they had lost those people. I thought that was really important for her to see.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that this book would be really well portrayed as a movie. Because the things that I have trouble with in this book is that it was so much talk again and again about how she was feeling, and I think that could have been kind of shrunken down more. But obviously, because it is such a heavy topic, grief, I don't think like, oh, this should be done this way and this way. Like, it's fine how it was. Just I think that in a movie, you really have the plot comes forward more and the characters come forward more. So I would like to see it adapted and see how her grief comes across in a movie. I also think that just the setting and the characters, like Mr. Watanabe would be a perfect movie character. If that makes sense. Like, you know, I want to see him for real. And obviously the Ace rep would be great to see in a movie.
Yeah.
So I think this is it. We're done talking. Thank you so much for joining me and for co-hosting the live show with me. Thank you, Elise and
I have
Kasey.
a question quickly.
Oh,
if it hasn't already been announced, when is the next book going to be announced?
oh, it has been
It
announced.
has. Oh, I missed it. Sorry.
Okay, it's fine. Yeah, but that's a good point, because I wouldn't have said it otherwise. The next book will be Underneath the Citadel by Destiny Soraya. It is a YA fantasy, I think, with an Aero Ace main character, I think. I don't know, I haven't read it yet.
Okay.
And we'll be reading it throughout the month of May and June.
Awesome.
So if you would like to follow Elise, you can follow her on the channel The Petite Punk. I have linked it down below. And Kasey is from the channel Kasey Can't Read. I have also linked her channel down below. And if you would like to see more of the Ace space, I have linked a link tree down below, and you can check us out on Twitter or on Discord or other things. Yes, thank you so much for watching and joining me. Goodbye.